Bom dia a todos. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, depending where you are in the world joining us today. I'm Clarisse Rocha. I'm the EIC Regional Director, and I would like to welcome you all for today's event. Today we have this partnership. We're doing an event which is the next chapter of the Brazil oil and gas success story. And partnering with us today, we have IBP, the Brazilian Petroleum and Gas Institute. As an institutional representative of the oil and gas sector, IBP has been working for more than 62 years in favor of the development of a competitive and sustainable industry, generating benefits widely recognized by society. So this webinar today aims to provide an update on the current Brazilian oil and gas scenario, and what are the expectations around the market's turnaround, focusing on recent announcements made by key operators and contractors. We want to make this session as interactive as possible, so please feel free to direct any questions you may have to our speakers throughout the webinar at the Hub platform, and we will try to answer them all, as many as we can, at the end of the session. So before we begin, I would like to make a short introduction about the EIC, as we see that there are many new people that may not be familiar with the EIC as well. So I would kindly ask Pietro to share his screen and share the presentation. Brilliant. Okay. So the EIC is the Energy Industries Council, and we are actually working to help our members identify and win business globally. We do that through several offices. I'm based here in Rio, looking directly at South America. We also have a base in Houston, in the UK, in the Middle East, and in Kuala Lumpur in Asia. So basically, we provide market intelligence and support to our members, especially in connecting them and organizing events and so on. So moving forward, I'm going just to go very on a snapshot about each platform we have. So on EIC Data Stream, we cover all the major capex that is being invested in projects related to energy worldwide. And a lot of the information we're going to share today has been extracted from EIC Data Stream. What you see on the screen is an example of a project. So we got an example from Brazil, but there are many other projects worldwide. We're about 10,000 projects nowadays, summing $10 trillion in projects. Moving forward, we have recently launched Esc Asset Map, which actually maps the assets that become live. We do have this available here in the Americas for the Gulf of Mexico and for Brazil. And this is where you can see all the facilities that become operational. And it's very good for companies that have, they're working on maintenance of assets, so that they can see what's being, what operations are live and what needs maintenance. So moving forward, our newest database is called Eic Supply Map, and this is where we have mapped the UK entire supply chain. Nowadays, we have over 3,500 suppliers of the energy sector. So if you are a company in Brazil searching for a searching for a UK partner or distributor or even a supplier, you can access the supply map and see what is available from the UK, and we're very happy to make the connections. Moving forward, we have also a bespoke market intelligence service, which is called the EIC Inform, where we can help companies that are coming into the country or even to develop their own, to market their own products and services here. So you can learn more talking to us in the end. And the next one is the event. So this is one of the initiatives that we're doing in partnership with the IBP. We have been doing a series of events with the British Chamber as well. And this, we brought just a snapshot of what we have next. Our website is always updated. So we have a data stream training on 14th and 18th and 28th of April. We are holding an virtual technical workshop about topside and subsea choke valves on 27th of April and 11th of May. Then we are hosting our first in-person event, which is going to be a breakfast about the next chapter of Pre-Salt on the 18th of May. And an in-person training if you are interested in energy transition. So we're bringing the fundamentals of all low carbon on a one-day workshop in the city of Rio on the 1st of June. Our biggest highlight here is actually a trade mission. So if you are a UK company listening now, we are we have a call for action now. We are recruiting companies that are active in offshore wind, hydrogen, nuclear, bioenergy, and oil and gas decommissioning to participate in this Brazilian trade mission, which is being held alongside the UK Department of International Trade from the UK government. And it's going to be, companies will have the opportunity to present in the UK and Brazil partners in energy powering net zero on the 7th of June. And of course, the Brazilian audience is more than welcome to come at this event. We'll launch registrations later on. And the next breakfast is on 30th of June. So this is what we have as next events. And moving forward, I think the best time to come to Brazil this year is probably, if you're working in oil and gas, is Rio Oil and Gas. And I'm not going to say much because Fernanda that will join us will talk a little bit more about it. But I think it's good to highlight that this year is going to be the first year on a new venue at the Olympic Boulevard right downtown. So I'm sure this will bring a different, even more positive atmosphere. And the EIC is organizing the UK Pavilion at Rio Oil and Gas. So we'll definitely be hosting networking opportunities, whiskey tasting, and matchmaking with between UK companies and Brazilian companies. So if you're interested in having a pavilion with the EIC, just email that internationaltrade@theeic.com, and we'll be happy to send you more details. This is just a brief introduction about the EIC and how we work to help companies worldwide that are suppliers of the energy sector. Now, even if you are a Brazilian company, you can also be a member of the EIC. So you can just contact us in the end to hear more. But I'm going to now invite my colleague. So our first presentation today is coming from Pietro Ferreira. I'm going to introduce him. So Pietro Ferreira holds a bachelor degree in international relations and a specialization degree in oil and gas. He's also pursuing an MSc in global energy policy from the University of London. Pietro works as a senior regional analyst at the EIC regional office in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. His activities involve now researching and analyzing project information on the energy markets across North, Central, and South America, including developments across the up, mid, downstream power, but also the renewable sectors. Before joining the EIC in 2009, Pietro worked at the British Consulate General in Rio, where he was involved in trade promotion initiatives for the renewable sector. So Pietro, it's a pleasure to have you joining us today on this special launch of the Brazil Country Report and the key oil and gas trends and opportunities that comes with it. I'm going to pass the microphone now.
Thank you, Clarisse. Thanks, everyone. Thank you to the IBP for allowing us this opportunity today. And very good morning to everyone that's watching us, or good afternoon if you're elsewhere. So yes, this presentation is about the Brazil Country Report, the new version launched this year. 4 years ago, we launched the first version of our country report. Much has changed in these 4 years, as you know. And my presentation today, I'll try to highlight some of the key trends, projects, operators in the oil and gas sector in Brazil. Let's begin then. Before I explore oil and gas in more detail, let me just show you these two charts, which show the state of play of energy projects in Brazil at the moment. And this information is also present in our country report, whose latest edition was launched this year. The chart to the left shows how many projects we have today across all sectors, from oil and gas, up, mid, and downstream, to renewable energy, and onwards to these emerging energy transition sectors, such as hydrogen, energy storage, as well as carbon capture and storage. So, and to the right, we can see how many projects were announced in Brazil last year. We can see that renewables dominates the market today. There is a very strong build out of onshore solar and wind across Brazil. And last year, we also saw a major influx of offshore wind farms being announced by IOCs, by private developers here in the country, in the states of Rio, in the northeast, such as Rio Grande do Norte, Pernambuco, and also in Rio Grande do Sul. Following renewables, many power projects added last year, many projects registered for the new energy auction held by ANEL last year, as well as new transmission line and substation projects. And this is followed by hydrogen, a very strong influx of new green hydrogen projects being proposed for the ports of Açu, Pecém, Suape in Pernambuco as well, and some of them linked to these offshore wind farms that I just mentioned. There wasn't a very strong influx of new oil and gas projects last year, as you can see in these shares, right at the end in green, blue, and orange. But to the left, we can see that upstream still accounts for a sizable part of the energy opportunities today in Brazil, upstream accounting for 15% of total projects. So over the next slide, I'll talk specifically about oil and gas opportunities in these three sectors, up, mid, and downstream sectors. Well, the current pipeline of oil and gas projects in Brazil amounts to more than $150 billion today. And to the right in this chart, you can see how this investment is spread across the coming years by the commissioning date of the respective projects. The bulk of investment, as you can see by the blue bars, remains exploration and production. And this is led by Petrobras' massive pre-salt projects at Mero, Búzios, projects in the Santos Basin. And, indeed, the company plans to install 15 FPSOs by 2026, with 12 of those being directed to projects in the Santos Basin. We also have international oil companies, these IOCs, stepping up work in the pre-salt area, with Equinor and Shell currently pursuing big projects such as Bacalhau, Gato do Mato. And since 2018, the divestment of Petrobras assets has created new opportunities. For example, the Bacalhau field purchased by Equinor was previously called Carcará. We also saw smaller companies acquiring assets, mature assets in the Campos Basin. And this move towards oil and gas activity being performed by private developers didn't happen only in E&P, but also in the mid and downstream sectors. And I would highlight the natural gas sector. We saw recently, not that recently, the first LNG regasification terminal being developed by a private player in Sergipe, as well as private players being now being the owners of gas pipeline networks across the country. And I'll talk a little bit more about these opportunities in the coming slides. But before I do that, I would like to highlight Eic Asset Map. The latest version of our country report also highlights O&M opportunities. Eic Asset Map was our database launched in 2019, 1 year following the first Brazil report. And this was done to respond to our members' requests to have access to these massive OPEX market in Brazil, which is just as important as capital expenditure. We now track 552 oil and gas assets across the up, mid, and downstream sectors, and you see a snapshot of them to the right. Okay, let's begin in earnest with our presentation, beginning with the upstream. To the right, you can see we have close to $100 billion allocated to field development projects, with almost 40 projects. And today, as it was in 2018, pre-salt projects continue to dominate the sector and will continue to do so in the coming years. The bulk of investment by Petrobras over the next 5 years is allocated to pre-salt, which captures 67% of the E&P budget for the coming, as part of the 5-year investment plan. The E&P sector, as I mentioned briefly, has also seen greater diversification, not only by IOCs, but also smaller operators, which we call the independent oil and gas companies, some of which have acquired field from Petrobras and are engaged in redevelopment projects at mature oil fields in the Campos Basin. And we also have exploration work underway. Petrobras recently announced this discovery at Alto de Cabo Frio Central. Shell also announced the Bob discovery in the Campos Basin. And as we see, the amount of blocks acquired in recent E&P bidding rounds organized by the National Petroleum Agency, we expect more discoveries and hopefully more field development projects to complement this pipeline of upstream opportunities that we have today. Before we move to midstream, I would just very briefly share with you some information that we have in the AC data stream, which is our projects database, some key projects with current tendering activity. For example, the P80 project, the deadline for the FPSO is 16th of May. And we understand that a tender for the SURF equipment, subsea umbilicals, risers, and flow lines will be launched this year. Another FPSO project, but not in the Santos Basin. In this one is in the northeast, P81. We understand that Ocean and Petrobras are now in discussions regarding the supply of an FPSO for P81, and this will be done under a build, operate, transfer (BOT) contract for this unit. Other opportunities within its upstream that I'm highlighting here in this slide. The Bacalhau field, operated by Equinor, and Moderator will supply an FPSO for this project. And also another two projects that I would highlight are Maromba. Maromba, operated by PW Energy. The company will use its own FPSO, the Polvo FPSO, which we understand is now being not converted, but undergoing some modification work in the Middle East at the Dubai Dry Docks World Shipyard. Other key projects that I would highlight, Shell with Gato do Mato. We understand that BW and Saipem are very close to being awarded a contract for the supply of an FPSO for Gato do Mato, which is today Shell's key pre-salt project in the Santos Basin. Another two opportunities that I would highlight as part of this move towards not just Petrobras, but also IOCs and independents, Trident Energy with the Enxova Pampo clusters in the Campos Basin. The company plans to install an FPSO there. And Carum in the shallow waters of the Santos Basin with the Neon field, which we understand could be developed as a tieback to the Baúna project, which the company recently acquired from Petrobras. Now, midstream. Again, as we saw in midstream, this is also a sector where we saw the participation of private developers. Brazil's first LNG import terminal, not operated by Petrobras, was installed in Sergipe, and today there are various LNG regasification facilities in the planning or execution stages from Belém to São Francisco do Sul in Santa Catarina. So this is a growing trend in Brazil today, especially as we're seeing many combined cycle power plants securing PPAs in recent power auctions, and many of these plants are linked to LNG import facilities. Within midstream, as we see in this chart to the right, another key area attracting investment is pipelines, and particularly subsea gas pipelines that will carry future gas production from not only the Santos Basin, but also fields in the Sergipe-Alagoas Basin to the shore. So recently we're seeing the completion of the Route 3, Rota 3 pipelines, but we also have new subsea pipeline projects announced in Brazil. Not only these pipelines, but also the gas processing facilities that will support these projects, support these pipelines once they reach the shore. Let's have a look at a few of them. So here in this slide, I'm highlighting the Route 4A gas pipeline. It's one of the two alternatives being considered by Compass Gas e Energia to transport gas from Bacalhau to the shore. So Route 4A goes to the state of São Paulo, and we also have Route 4B, which would go to Itaguaí in the state of Rio. And these two pipelines would also be linked to new gas processing facilities onshore. A similar project, but in the northeast, is the SEAP Sergipe Águas Profundas gas pipeline. It's a project that would carry production from Sergipe Alagoas to a future gas processing plant in Sergipe. Beyond these pipelines and gas processing facilities, the LNG terminals that I talked about, some of these supporting combined cycle power plants, we can see 3 highlighted projects here. One of them, the Suape LNG terminal, planned by New Fortress Energy. And New Fortress Energy is a major player in Brazil today. This project in Pernambuco would also supply LNG to local customers via cryogenic trucks. I'm also highlighting here Baixada Santista, which is a project planned by Compass in Cubatão, and the São Luís LNG terminal planned by Eneva, which could potentially achieve a final investment decision in 2023. These are only a fraction of the LNG import terminals that we have today. On the AC Data Stream, our projects database, there are many more. As you saw in the previous slide, the share of FSRU projects in Brazil today. And moving on to downstream. To the right, we can see how investment is now allocated in the downstream segments. Refinery with a strong amount of capex dedicated to greenfield refinery projects. Petrobras remains an important player, a key player with the expansion or upgrade of existing facilities. And I would mention the revamp of the hydrotreatment facility for diesel at the Reduc refinery here in Rio, in Duque de Caxias, I'm sorry. A new diesel hydrotreatment unit at the Replan refinery in São Paulo, and also the construction, better saying the completion of the second refining train at the Abreu Lima refinery in Pernambuco. We also, this move towards, by Petrobras, towards divesting its oil and gas infrastructure to focus on pre-salt projects. We saw the Relan refinery in Bahia sold to Modular, which is an Arab fund, and Modular created a local entity called Asaling. And we do expect some additional refineries to be sold. The Regape refinery in Minas, the Lubinor lubricants plant in Ceará. The sale of these 2 units is expected to be concluded after the elections this year. And a very interesting trend that we see today is the development of modular refineries. This is an interesting endeavor because these facilities provide easier execution, a shorter schedule for the project execution, lower costs as well. And today, Nox's Group and Nox's Energy and Oil Group are the 2 key players involved in this modular refining segment. Just to highlight the projects I was talking about, we have the completion of the second train at the Abreu Lima refinery by Petrobras. This project is part of the company's investment plan by 2026. We have an upgrade, a $500 million upgrade of the Mataripe refinery in Bahia by Asaling, and the upgrades and, well, the new HGT unit and the revamp of the HGT unit at Reduc, also projects by Petrobras. Going to this modular segment, Oil Group in Açu is one of our key projects, as well as the Pecém modular refinery by Nox's in Ceará. So, just to wrap up things, here we have a screenshot of our new country report to the right. Just a few messages to conclude this presentation. Tomorrow we have the companies who presented offers as part of the 3rd cycle of the permanent offer process organized by the National Petroleum Agency. So these will be future opportunities for field development projects in Brazil. Upcoming power auctions in August, we have the A5 new energy auction. And as I mentioned previously, this could be an opportunity for new LNG to power projects here in the country. Going a little bit beyond oil and gas, I would highlight the strong commitment by these international oil companies towards clean energy sectors. And this is something we should closely follow. We have Shell, Total Energies, Equinor with offshore wind, solar projects here in Brazil. So it's very good to see how these oil and gas companies are diversifying and exploring additional sectors within the greater energy segment in order to achieve net zero and contribute to energy transition. And diversification is not only at the top level, not only by IOCs, but also by the supply chain. So for those oil and gas suppliers that are watching us today, I would strongly encourage having a look at these emerging sectors, try to identify synergies, explore opportunities for the supply of goods and services to these sectors such as offshore wind, green hydrogen. In the future, we could also see an uptick in carbon capture and storage projects. So I think now is the time for us to look beyond our traditional area of activity and try to identify new opportunities in these emerging sectors. So, well, for those of you interested in acquiring the Brazil Country Report, I would recommend contacting my colleague Neil Golding. His contact details are here at the bottom of this slide. And thank you. This is all. I would welcome any questions you may have at the end of the presentation following Delgado's presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pietro. Wow, it's impressive to see how much is happening right now. So it's not only future opportunities, but it's actually real projects with opportunity right now. So thank you for that very insightful presentation. I'm going to now introduce Fernando Delgado. So Fernanda is an executive director at the IBP. Since 2017, she has been a professor and a strategic advisor at FGV Energia, an institution where she also coordinates the MBA in management in the oil and gas sector. She also has she also coordinates a post-graduation program at the School of Command and General Staff of the Army. With a PhD in energy planning and master's in information technology, she has 4 published books on petropolitics, and she has a very vast professional experience in relevant companies such as Vale and Deloitte. And I'm very proud that she's our female leader representing our role in the institution as well. So thanks, Fernanda, for accepting this invitation to be organize this together today. And I'm going to pass the microphone over to you.
Thank you, Clarisse. Thank you very much for this invitation. It's really a pleasure. Thank you for this lovely introduction. It's really a pleasure to be in charge of IBP right now for this corporative direction. It's just been 3 months, but a lot have been done and a lot of things have been happening in Brazil as Felipe was presenting. So my role here is to talk about the next chapter in Brazil. So I will try to have a different approach what was already presented, and I will try to talk about challenges and opportunities involving the energy transition and what about Brazil in this role. As we know, Brazil has a very unique energy matrix when we compare with the rest of the world. I always like to say that we are in a position that many countries would like to be, as to say that we already made the energy transition. So for Brazil, which we have 85% of our electric matrix coming from renewable energy, for Brazil, the problem is not exactly how we are today on the energy transition, but the future of this energy transition. How about how we are going to develop, how we are going to grow, how about our economic growth prospects in the future? So in the Brazilian case, the combination of 3 elements are very fundamental: the country's economic growth prospects, the maintenance of this energy matrix with high rates of renewability, and the energy security. And energy security is something that we have been talking about very much from a month ago from the last few weeks because of the war from in Ukraine and Russia. So when we are talking about energy transition and energy security becomes as so important as energy transition since the last week. So fossil fuels are very important on this context, especially when we are talking about energy security, especially when we are talking about their contribution on the technological expertise to enable this diffusion of renewable sources or to ensure the energy supply, especially when we are talking about the intermittency intermittence that we have with the solar and the wind source, especially when you're talking about Europe sources of energy. But we are talking about Brazil, and here in IBP we estimate that the production chain related to the oil and gas industry right now they are responsible for 507,000 direct and indirect jobs right now, and we are estimating investments until 2030 in about $174 billion in investments until 2030, which is huge, and which we can make a very good reference, which was already presented by the EIC. In addition to all the export of oil that we have been making in Brazil, we can say now that Brazil is a very important exporter of oil, especially for Asia, and we can count on this generation of revenue for the country. And for 2021 it was expected to be like $30 billion in revenues. This energetic sector is also, we still have some opportunities regarding the short and the medium and the long term. Because of the limitations that we have for the hydraulic capacity, the hydraulic plants that we have for our electric matrix, the reservoirs that we have for the water power sector, they are still, like to say, they are limited on their capacity to be expanded. So the space is very limited for the capacity of expansion, and what we are projecting is that the natural gas is going to occupy this place to expand the energy matrix, the Brazilian energy matrix. So the new gas law was a very important milestone for the oil and gas sector and established very solid pillars of in the regulatory framework that brings benefits for all the sector, and also about the segments that use natural gas as raw material, as to say. So for now, the consolidation of the new gas law is something very important for the future of our energy matrix. The agents of the market can capture the benefits from this new gas law, and it's essential for the regulatory agents as federal as in state levels to be as to say, to allow the participation of the new agents in different levels of the chain to take place in a very isonomic way and to contribute for the expansion of the supply and the competitiveness. So this is something that we are expecting for the regulatory environment in Brazil for the next years. It's important the construction of legal aspects for this new gas law based on a very robust system of transport that links the production and the consumption and linking supply and demand. As was already presented, we have all the Petrobras divestments, which represents opportunities for the market as well. The downstream sector has been profoundly changed in Brazil. They announced the investments and the perspective of the entrance of new agents and new opportunities for investments, as well on the upstream and also in the mid and the downstreams, will generate movements in the in pipelines, in revamps in refineries, and everything has to be done in order for us to have a very happy environment and transparent for those investments. We estimate here in IBP that Latin America will respond for 40% of all the investments that we will have in renewables in the future, especially when we are talking about biofuels. Brazil has a very huge expertise in biofuels, and it's something that can give Brazil a special participation in the energy transition narrative, in the energy transition discussion in the world, to give him a more powerful, a more powerful place in this discussion. The biofuels will compound as well an important role for the capacity of the transport system in Brazil. Today, the biofuels represent 25% of the consumption of fuels in Brazil, which is something very huge. So the biofuels has this potential to contribute for the reduction of emissions in Brazil, and something that we can spread abroad. Today, we count with very important political public policies regarding renewable, which is an advance when you're talking about carbon credit markets. So Brazil is already in the middle of implementing renewable, already implemented, but this regulatory framework is already something, is like a step ahead for Brazil to participate in the carbon credit market. This politics must be integrated, and they must be capable to capture the benefits of the biofuels in the Brazilian market. We have still many opportunities for the future, as to say, in the biofuels, in the hydrogen market, in new kinds of diesels in Brazil, which are not the biofuels that are not produced by food, especially. And in Brazil, we have this co-process of vegetable oils, which is very important on the capacity of refineries. So we have this natural call for the biofuels, which is something that we can leverage the position of Brazil in the future. Also, when we're talking about the positions in Brazil right now, the differences between the volumes of oil between, as to say, the difference between, let me put it in a different way, the differences between the oil market in the international oil market can open some leverage for Brazil to put more oil outside Brazil, to export more oil, which is good for us to improve our participation in the international market. 80th exporter of oil, but we still have a lot room to grow, which is important for us when we are talking about the royalties and special participations. When you talk about a governmental take, it's something that is can put Brazil in a different level about tribute and impost that is for the Brazilian government. So in the end of the day, it's something that it's important to mention, that it's not that Brazil is in a friendly position regarding the energy transition is not exactly this. Our role is to think about what is going to be the next step for Brazil in order to grow, to keep the energy security, to keep the growth of the economics in Brazil, but still to maintain and to supply the country with a very competitive energy, and the oil and gas energy, the oil and gas industry can provide this. The oil and gas industry right now in Brazil can understand the points of the energy transition. We can supply with technological development. We can supply with the jobs that comes from the oil and gas industry, as well as all the economic leverage that comes from the oil industry from now on. So as to say that Brazil has a huge and important role right now in the energy transition for the next years, and the oil and gas industry is very prepared to embrace this challenge and to help to do that. Clarisse was saying something very important, just for me to finalize that. Clarisse was saying something very important regarding the Rio Oil and Gas. And Rio Oil and Gas, it's the biggest fair we have here in the oil and gas sector in Brazil. It's going to happen in September. It's going to be a huge event. We have a very few units left. We have 95% of our occupation already sold. So all the industry is going to be here. All the supply chain of oil and gas in Brazil and Latin America and maybe in the world is going to be here. And it's going to be right here in downtown in Rio, so very close, very easy to park, which was different from the last year. So it's a new venue, as Clarisse said, and we are expecting all of you to meet in presence again this year in Rio Oil and Gas. I guess it's all I have for today, and we are open for questions.
Thank you very much, Fernanda. I'm very excited to join. I was just about to ask you why companies should come and join Rio Oil and Gas. I reckon just because of the new atmosphere on this new venue, I think that was an excellent choice by IBP to bring it closer to downtown and the heart of many of the oil and gas companies. I think this will bring make it easier for the audience to attend. The audience has always been there, but I think now with the view, they're going to be even more excited to do business. So I'm going to invite Pietro back to the panel as well. We have a few questions coming. If you have not asked your questions still, feel free to send them over. We still have a few minutes. I think the first one, we forgot to realize that not everyone here is an expert in oil and gas. So we do have a question on what actually is upstream, midstream, and downstream. Pietro, I think that was a mistake from us waiting straight away into the oil and gas language, but would you mind just giving an overview of what it is?
Sure, absolutely. Well, upstream, up, mid, and downstream are the three sectors that we see within oil and gas. Upstream is everything related to exploration and production, onshore, offshore. So we're talking about drilling work, the installation of production facilities, FPSOs or fixed units. Midstream would be pipelines, gas pipelines, oil pipelines, LNG import or export terminals. We also see within the Eic gas processing facilities as also part of the midstream sector. And downstream would be refining, petrochemicals, fertilizers. So from the oil and gas being drilled, from being extracted from the wells to the diesel that we get at the refineries. So these are the three key sectors that we have.
And gas stations as well. Downstream is all the gas stations until it gets to your car. So when you have the gasoline on your car, this is the downstream sector.
Perfect. I think that answers well. Then we have another question about Rio Oil and Gas, the conference. Can we get a PDF brochure on sponsor exhibition package? And what are the profiles of the companies to be eligible for a booth there? He has some partners from international companies that are asking. So maybe I can explain. IBP is organizing Rio Oil and Gas, and that's why Fernanda just shared that 95% of the floor plan is sold. The EIC actually organized the UK pavilion. Of course, there are other national pavilions, other international pavilions, and your companies from abroad are happy to participate either on a stand of their own organized by IBP or on the country national pavilions. And the EIC is organizing the UK pavilion one. So feel free to reach out to us to understand a little bit more details. We try to offer as a package to make the lives easier of an international companies coming. Sometimes it's very difficult to exhibit by themselves, but if you're coming in a group, then everything is like preset and pre-organized. So I think it makes it way easier. And we also organize like several other network initiatives to try to really show the opportunities and the key stakeholders to those companies that are exhibiting as part of the pavilion. So we have shared our email, but it's the-eic.com. If you need more details, just feel free and we'll share the information. Fernanda, would you like to complement anything from
Yes.
the Rio and Gas side?
Yes, thank you. I would just like to add that we have a huge program of conferences and dialogues and CEO talks this year, and it's going to be amazing. And also, for the first time, we're going to have other associations coming with IBP. So we have the wind power sector, we have the solar power sector. We are trying to get the biogas sector as well. So it's not just about oil and gas. It's going to be about energy as a whole. So we are going to talk about energy transition a lot. We are going to talk about energy security. So it's going to be a very plural Rio Oil and Gas with all the energetics compounding Rio Oil and Gas for the first time.
Okay. I think it's good to see that there are other sectors represented in Rio Oil and Gas as well, especially at this time with the UK government being so strongly committed to energy transition. I think that's a movement we're seeing in many countries worldwide. So there is a company specifically about the EIC. What are the benefits to a company to be associated ordering a membership package? Thanks for your interest. We help companies worldwide to do business in the energy sector, and it's basically all with business intelligence and networking. So I think we're here two membership organizations. IBP, I would say, is more broad, and the EIC works specifically more directly with the energy opportunities in the energy sector. So Fernanda, would you like to complement something on the membership side of IBP?
Well, thank you, Clarisse. The IBP membership, we have a lot of, as to say, here the companies can participate of our commissions and to discuss the things that they are mostly like for their business. So we have commissions to discuss since the energy transition and climate change until commissions that are discussing regulatory specifications of the gasoline in Brazil. So we have a very huge framework of commissions discussing technical aspects of the industry sector here in Brazil. As well, we have our own university, which is UNBP. We have many kinds of courses and trainings, especially designed for in-company designs or open courses that the companies can just buy and join us here for training. We have certifications for the industry. So it's a very huge package of benefits that someone that can join us, IBP, here, and to be represented as the industry and all advocacy that we can make regarding all the regulatory things that we are doing in Brazil right now. The things are changing very fast, as Pietro showed in his presentation. So it's good to keep up and to have someone very close with this, especially for an entrance company, a new agent coming in Brazil.
Thank you. I think that's a good overview of IBP. So I think the next question I'm going to address to Fernanda and then one to Pietro. So the question is coming from Rafael Visotto. How do you, experts in oil and gas, see the competition between biomethane and natural gas, if it really exists?
I don't think there is really a competition. I think the things are complementary, especially because natural gas is something that is so settled, is so fundamental, and I think things will be complemented. I don't think they are in a competition in any way, and I don't even think that they see each other as competitors. The industries, there are different industries, of course, and they understand each other as complementary, as to say the wind power sector and the oil and gas sector, we know each other and we are complementary. I don't say
I think there is room for every
I
kind
think
of
there is room, and this is the beauty of Brazil. I always like to say that Brazil has a very good problem. The good problem of Brazil is the many energetics that we have. We have solar, we have wind, we have the biomasses, we have gas, we have oil, we have everything. We have to how to administrate everything on our energy matrix and how to use it as the best use of it for our future regarding our economic growth, regarding the energy security, how we are going to handle it for the future. But we have everything, and there is room for everybody now and in the future.
Okay, I have the next one. I think for both we can comment. So what do you see, which is the main current challenge for the oil and gas sector in Brazil? It's a very broad one.
This is very difficult, so I think Pietro must answer.
I think this answer can touch on several aspects. So I'm going to touch on a very specific one, which I believe is very important for many companies that are listening to us today. I think a key challenge today is capacity building. We have moments of we're thriving, and then moments when the market is down, and then the market is thriving again. And I think this has a detrimental effect to the capacities of the supply chain, especially SMEs, when it comes to being able to support projects, to have the capacity to stand side by side with the operators and big contractors to respond to their needs and expand our industry, develop a strong Brazilian oil and gas industry.
I'm going to touch on another point. I would say that another challenge is how to keep up with the projects they have while still decarbonizing their facilities. So energy transition does not mean oil and gas will be abandoned. There definitely won't be. There are many needs for oil and gas, and I can see especially the new generations coming, they do tend to see that oil and gas is only the diesel and the fuel you put on your car, but it's not it. And like if Fernanda wants to wear her glasses, you need you need oil in it. So there is a vast need for it. But of course, we want a better world. And then I think decarbonizing the production, I think, will be a key challenge. And I think that's also a way to unite both countries, since we're talking like here in the UK-Brazil area, which is an area where the UK companies are really working hard on. And I think it's an area where we can have companies working even closer together.
I can make some comments, Clarisse. I guess our main challenge is not exactly how to make the transition, but how to communicate this transition. How to make the society understand that we are not the bad guys. Actually, if you look for, as you said, if you look for your desk right now, I can bet you that 90% of the things that are on your desk right now comes from an oil product. More than 90% of the things that you have on your desk right now comes from an oil product, and all the medicines that we have right now, my glasses, everything has an oil a product in the between of this composition. So the thing is how to communicate this to the society in order for them to be brought for this conversation. So between the climate change activist and the civil society, there is many people that we have to protect, and we have to prepare them for the energy transition. So how we are going to communicate them, how we are going to bring them to the dialogue, and to make them understand that we are not the bad guys. We are here to provide energy security. We are here to give them a very competitive energetic, and a very with all the infrastructure that we already have, that we are investing our P&D money on energy transition technologies, that we are providing jobs, that we are providing all the royalties and the special participation and income taxes and everything for the society. So is to make them see that we embrace the energy transition and we are ready to make it. We are ready to contribute. And a decarbonized world does not mean a world without oil and gas. There are other ways to do it. There are other ways to offset this emissions, and the technology can help on that. We are investing on that. I guess this is going to be our main challenge for the next years.
Very well said.
Yep. Sorry, Clarisse, just adding that on top of Fernando's comments, I think we need a clear roadmap that is developed in tandem with not just government, but also contractors, academia, so that we can communicate, deliver this communication that Fernando was talking about to the industry. So is this roadmap going to feature green hydrogen, blue hydrogen? I think this provides certainty for investors, and would position Brazil. Okay, well, Brazil has a national hydrogen plan which features blue hydrogen. So I think this clear roadmap is a key challenge, and it's what we need.
Excellent. Well, I think we're coming to the end of our webinar today. We had one last question about the different in candidates for presidency, but I think a big message for investors and international companies to Brazil is that yes, we have elections coming in in October this year, and we have a new president that will be elected from January onwards. However, if looking at the energy policies, I think an important comment is that energy and oil and gas are such big agendas for Brazil that regardless of who wins the elections, this will be carried out. And I think this is very important that all operators, even the international ones based in countries, see a stability in Brazil. And they have oil and gas is not a market that you invest in every 4 years, you change your mind. This is for decades to come. So this is a market Brazil has been a market that has proved itself that even with changes in government, that has not changed much or altered the clear and profitable scenario for investment. So that's why I think I'll end on this note, just to keep everyone calm, that we're very safe in terms of political stability here, with all institutions being very well respected. So going to come to the end now. The Eic is really pleased to have you all at this event today. I'd like to have a special thanks to the audience that joined us, but also for Pietro and Fernanda for being available here and sharing their knowledge. We definitely look forward to talking and engaging with everyone, if not throughout the year, at least during Rio Oil and Gas, we want to see each other face to face. So on behalf of the Eic team, I would like to thank everyone for attending today and for engaging We hope everyone had a pleasant experience today, and as much as we did. And thanks for being with us. So, Fernanda, Pietro, any final comments?
Just to thank you, Clarisse and EIC for this webinar, and I hope everybody can join IBP. Anything you need, please, our website. Join in our website. We have more information. You can send your questions there, and we'll be very glad to attend you there and see you at Rio Oil and Gas.
Okay, so that's the end of our broadcast today. Thank you all, and we'll see each other in the soon future. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.